And in moving quickly, these are some of the things that we want to focus on today. So we want to look at setting up lessons. We're going to talk a little bit about plan and design. We're definitely going to look at creating content pages and adding question pages. Yeah. So one of the things about the Moodle lesson activity is that it's very versatile. It's a versatile tool. And the key word there is tool. So this is a tool that you, the instructor, will select strategically for your students to engage in learning. So you don't want to just use the tool because it's available. You want to make sure that when your students engage in this activity by using this tool, they are actually achieving some of the learning outcomes. All right. So lessons will enable your students to also progress through a series of connected pages. Now, these connected pages will include things like text, well, let's just call it content, all right? And on that content page, you have text, you have images, infographics, you can have a recording, a video recording, etc. Another one of those connected pages would be questions and even scenarios. So lessons is a really good tool for creating a scenario-based activity in the online space. So in this tutorial, we will look at the fundamentals of developing a lesson activity. I want for you all to take 1 minute, not even a minute, half a minute to read what's on the slide here. And just think about it. Probably it's the first time you're seeing it. Probably already know about it. Just a reminder here. So the thing about lessons is that it allows you, the facilitator, the content creator, the instructional designer, to create multiple pathways for your students to engage in the learning process and attain the stated learning outcomes. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Yeah. So when you use lessons, what you are actually doing is creating multiple pathways for these principles here, the principles of UDL, for engagement, representation, action, and expression. And we have a separate session on universal design for learning, but I just want to put a plug in for it here to let you know that by using this tool, what you are actually doing is making the learning exciting for your students by giving them choices, by creating pathways, different pathways to attain the same learning outcomes. And here are some of the benefits of using Moodle lessons. So according to my readings, the benefits really and truly are as follows. You know, you want to use this to create adaptive paths based on student responses. So here, you can actually create an activity and students would read or watch a video and then respond to a question. And when they respond to this question in the online space, the system you have designed, the activity you have designed, will take them to either or make them jump. Let me use the jargon, but because you're going to be faced with that terminology in the Moodle activity soon, jump. They will be able to jump based on their responses to a different section. So that jump could be to reinforce a concept or jump to the next activity because they have now moved from novice to expert. Yeah. You will also be able to create engaging and engaging activities in the online space by combining text, images, audio, and creating that interactivity by allowing students to click and make that connection. And the last point here, which is very critical when it comes to online learning, assessment and feedback. So here's the other good thing about Moodle lessons. When you create a lesson, you are not, and students are doing the activity, engage in the lesson, you may not be there, right? So in an asynchronous activity, it's an asynchronous activity. The student is there by themselves, and you're not there to provide real-time feedback. But you have designed now an activity where, based on students' responses, they will be provided with feedback. And I'm sure you're familiar with some of those activities and apps. You know, some children would, some of your children, or maybe using when they select something and it's incorrect, they hear a feedback by audio, or they could read accordingly. So you can do that. You can create that same assessment and feedback to allow for remediation opportunities or to support mastery of the content or concepts that the students are learning. There are two types of lessons in Moodle: linear lessons, branching lessons. So we are going to focus primarily on linear lessons. Why linear lessons? Because we want to keep it simple and we just have an hour to get through this session. And linear lessons, if you understand the how to create a linear lesson, it's the foundation for creating branching lessons. And branching lessons can be very confusing. So we don't have time to do that, but you will still be able to, on your own, after mastering linear lessons, you'll be able to create your own branching lessons. All right. So the thing about linear lessons is that you create an activity for your students to progress through a fixed sequence of content and questions. Yeah. So it's linear in that sense, and it's not branching or giving students an opportunity to jump from one concept to another concept just because they feel they're competent enough to go to the next concept. The branching lessons is where you create opportunities for the students now to choose their own adventure. It will also promote critical thinking and decision making, so it's excellent for creating scenarios in medicine or the engineering field, etc. It's good for case studies as well, probably in law and those other faculties. You should really spend some time planning your lesson. And in planning your lesson, you want to think about the learning outcomes. So you want to define your objectives, acknowledge or state what course outcomes and learning objectives that this lesson, this activity you are going to create will address. Make sure that your activity is aligned to the learning outcomes and the assessment in the course. You want to decide on the experience. So you want to decide on whether it is linear or branching. You want to decide on whether or not the lesson will be graded or ungraded, because these are some of the things that you really need to sit down and think about before you actually set up the activity. You want to decide on whether or not students will be able to revisit the lesson after completion, because you could actually create an activity where students just go through the activity and they cannot go back. I don't promote that. I want students to be able to revisit anytime they feel like. All right. You want to map the structure. You want to think about the sequencing. So you could probably just sketch out a flowchart or something where you would decide on which activity comes before which one, and so on and so forth. You want to identify things like content pages, question pages, and jumps. We'll get into the jumps, which would be things like navigation links later on. Some tips. Start small. Begin with simple linear lessons before attempting the complex branching, please. Because you really want to get a good grasp of it before you have students engage with it. Because, you know, sometimes first impression is a lasting impression. You might create, you might be so ambitious, you create a branching activity and students at the onset, they don't like it and they just don't engage in that activity at all, especially if it's not for maths. All right, you want to use multimedia. We have AI to help us. So you can use some of those videos and make those videos interactive through H5P. You can use audio. You can record yourself. You can do a video recording as well and put it in that activity and think about feedback. And this is where AI could come in, because you can use AI to help you plan your activity, plan your lesson, and talk to AI and ask AI for suggestions on feedback that you would want to provide to students if they select an incorrect answer, saving you time, saving you effort. And you want to test thoroughly. So testing thoroughly for me, and you will see it, is all about switching from your teacher view to your student view. So here's how we are going to approach this. I'm going to just talk a little bit about the steps before we go into it. Now, obviously, you're going to have to go to your Moodle course. So you can, in this tutorial, you could pull up a closed-off Moodle course. You could use one that is active right now, but you're going to keep it hidden. You're going to keep it hidden so persons will not see it. Your students will not see the activity. This is your testing space. So you're going to go to the course, and of course, before we select the lesson activity, you got to turn that famous button on, turn edit on, that's located at the top right. And once you do that, you'll be presented with a different view where you can add an activity or resource. From that link, you will be taken to the activity picker where you will select lesson. Once you select lesson, you'll be taken to the settings page, right, where you must configure the lesson. And in doing that, you want to give a title, you want to give a description for the lesson, and then you have the regular settings that you should be familiar with, availability, and I stuck activity completion here because I stuck that in here because I think it's very important for you when you're tracking the activity completion status for the entire class. It will give you a bird's eye view of how your students are engaging in the contents within the course, or in particular this activity. But before you, some of you may not see activity completion, and the reason why you're not seeing it is because in the course settings, it is turned off. You need to turn that on in order for it to be presented throughout the development of your course. All right, and then you save and display. Good. When you save and display, that's where the creation starts. That's where you'll be presented with your blank canvas, and you have to start creating your masterpiece. So I'm here in my course. And as you would already know, the course is presented in a template where you have resources and activities. So that means you're going to put this activity under the activity section in your course, because you want to keep things simple. You want to make it easy for your students to navigate as well. Yeah. So once you're inside your course, you turn edit on and you go to your respective week and you select add an activity or resource. From the picker, we choose lesson. And here is where we give the lesson a name. You must do this. Anything I indicated with this symbol means that it's compulsory. You need to fulfill the requirements before saving. Yeah. So let's call this activity. You give it any name you want. You can provide a description here. And you go to appearance And here, Rachel, you would want to make a decision on whether or not you want a progress bar to be displayed in the activity. Now, this is encouraged. I would encourage you to do that. So students will have an idea of their progress, how long again they have in the activity, and so on. The display menu now. So the display menu, oops, sorry, will allow your users to navigate through a list of pages that is displayed. So the display menu will be located, just like in books, on the top right of your page. It's not here as yet because we're still setting up the activity. So I would want to turn that on as well because I want to create multiple pathways. I want to give students as much options as possible. Availability, well, this is pretty much straightforward. The only difference with this option availability here is that you have a time limit when compared to some of the other activities in MyeLearning. All right, it's up to you. And then flow control. And I did mention that I want students to be able to, I would encourage you to allow students to always be able to access this activity, unless it's high stakes, like a summative assessment. Yeah. But in most cases, you're going to use it for like a formative assessment, low stakes, something that's low stakes. And do you want students to review? I would say yes. Provide option to try a question again. Yes, because we want them to master. We want them to master the concept. So I would say yes, because we're teaching for mastery. And maximum number of attempts per question, you have this option here, unlimited. I will select that, unlimited. Show more options. So here, by default, normal, flow, lesson part is selected. In this case, let's keep it simple because we are creating that flow. So the normal flow. Number of pages to show, keep it at 1 for now. And here you decide on whether or not it's graded. Yeah, that's up to you. Is it a practice lesson? You can say yes. Retakes allowed. Yes, because it's a practice lesson. And let's say you want to give it, put some marks. If it's out of 100, let's say they need to score 80 above. And then common module settings, availability, you wanted to show. So these are pretty much straightforward. I'm not going to spend too much time on the common module settings unless you ask me to. Restrict access, same thing. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Activity completion, we're going to talk a little bit about this. So if you're not familiar with activity completion, again, you will not see this option if you have activity completion turned off in your course settings. Good. So once activity completion is turned on, you can now decide on the completion tracking, how you want the system to indicate whether or not students complete this activity or not. And you have some options here. Do not indicate. Students can manually mark. Show activity as complete when conditions are met. I would want to select this one. When you select that, you can require students to view the activity to complete. For them to actually receive that completion status, they must view, as well as, since I assign marks or grades, I can select this option. Student must receive a grade, and they must also receive a passing grade. Yeah, so this will give them that prompt as well. The student will be able to track their performance in the course itself. Right, require end reach. Students must reach the end of the lesson to complete the activity. Yeah, you could turn that on. And well, I wouldn't really mess with these two options based on the need. So when you're done, you can now select save and return to course or save and display. We want to continue building, so we want to click save and display. Save and display. And here you will be presented with what you would like to do first. So again, planning is key. If you have your plan, this is where you would be able to now draw from your plan and speed the process up, right? So I want to explain a little bit about these options that you have. And I have here for you to see a Moodle document. If you just do a quick search, you'll find this as well. So you'll be presented with these 4 options. First one is import questions. Now, if you have questions already created, most likely use ChatGPT or any one of those AI tools to help you generate some questions. You need to save it in either one of these formats here, and you'll be able to import it without having to go into the actual creation side of a quiz or assessment. Is actually quizzes, mostly quizzes, quiz type questions, right? Cluster. So a cluster is a group of question pages. So again, question pages. So this is like feedback activities that you're going to be creating, which will be offered randomly to students as they walk through the lesson. And then content page. This is what we are going to focus on. Content page. It's a page where you provide information to move the lesson forward, but without requiring the student to answer specific questions. Patrice? Go ahead, Patrice.
Good morning. So this is the option to import existing quizzes that were saved in other programs rather than creating a quiz from scratch, which you can do within Moodle.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So also, if you have a quiz in Moodle and you want to download that quiz and use those questions for this activity, it's already in the format, but you need to select the appropriate format.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So content pages, we're going to focus on that today, and question page. So for questions, you have these options: essay type questions, matching, multiple choice, true, false. We're just going to focus on multiple choice and true, false, just to keep it simple. And yeah, so this is exactly a good resource to go to if you need clarity on these options. So let's add a content page first. So when you click add a content page, of course, you need to give your page a title. So you give your page a title. You provide some contents here. So this would be what you want to display on the page. It's just pretty much straightforward. Right. And you can add text, images, videos, links. So we have those options here in the editor. Do you all need to see how to add an image?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So to add an image is pretty straightforward. You most likely will not see all the options in the editor. And to reveal that, you click on this arrow, down arrow, to expand the menu. And then you select insert or edit image. But before you do that, you want to indicate where you want that image to be placed on your page. So you just want to put the cursor where you want it to be placed. So I want it to be placed right here in this area under the text, this paragraph, and you select insert, you browse, you upload a new file, then choose file, select your image, upload this file, wait for it to load. It's pretty big. You can use the option here to size. I would select auto size and modify the first option. I usually go with numbers like 600 to 800. When you click outside, it automatically format the image for you, and you need to provide a little description, then save image. Yeah, so that's one way. The other way is copy and paste. You can copy and paste. When you copy and paste, you don't get the option to format the size. And if you paste it here, like let's say, for example, I paste this image here, and I want to edit the size, I could just double click on the image, it brings up this same window, and I change the size. Save. You also have the option. Yeah, go ahead, Wilson.
Oh, saying thanks for the demonstration.
Yeah, man, no problem. Okay. H5P. That's where I was going. H5P. So we have the option to bring in H5P. So this is an interactive tool that you can embed on your page. We have a training session on that, but you do have the option. You also have the option to record audio. You can select record and start recording. So students, you could give a description of the activity. You could give a scenario, read out a scenario. I mean, it's based on your creativity. Teaching is fun. Teaching is fun, so you have fun. You can have fun creating your recordings or video. You can record a video, you hit start recording, and you can do that, but don't want to do that right now, looking at the time. Good. Now that you have content on your page, you can select the option to arrange content buttons horizontally. All right, so I would want to arrange these buttons. Now, these buttons will be presented at the bottom of your content page for students to click. So after they engage with the content within that page, at the bottom, when they reach to the bottom of the page, they can now select a button to jump somewhere. Where are they going to jump? That's what you need to decide. That's where the planning comes in. So I want to name the button. So they have this title description. I'm going to keep it simple by calling it the name of the button. Let's give that button a name. So the name of the button is going to be, in this case, what is H5P? Or if you keep it short, H5P. You're the creator of your lesson. So you choose. And when the students select the button, where you want them to go. Next page, previous page, end of lesson, or these are the options. So you have to really think about your design. So let's go to the next page. For now, next page, because we only have one page created. When you're done, you select save. Good. If you're seeing this, not to worry, this is exactly what is supposed to happen. You're in edit mode, so you will see the activity looking like this because you're still in edit mode. Now, I want to get a good idea of how this activity, this lesson is shaping up. I want to know how students will be able to see this activity. So I'm going to switch my view or role to student. Okay, just click continue. Okay, so they have, this is what they are seeing. Remember, we turn activity completion on. So far, this student in student view is meeting the requirements. To view, they need to go through the activity to the end. They need to receive a grade. They need to receive a passing grade. So this is helpful. This is useful to the student. Here's the button that we just named, H5P. If I click on it, it would send them directly to the end of the lesson because we have not created the page what is H5P as yet. I just wanted to get a view. So this is where we have to keep switching to make sure that it's working and that we have a working understanding of the tool itself. I'm going to switch my role, return to my normal role. So we want to edit the lesson. Click edit lesson, we come back to this view. Now we want to add another page. Let's add another content page. To add a content page, you select in this area here, add a new page, and hover down to add a content page. Select it. And of course, we need to give this page a title. Good. So we okay here. You can give me a thumbs up. We okay here with adding a content page, giving it a title, and adding contents. Yeah. Okay, Chanel, thanks. Melanie, good. And we want to repeat the same steps when it comes to content 1 or content 2 or content 3 or content 4. We're only focusing on content 1. When you start using branching, you would use content 2, content 3, content 4. So here now you're getting an idea. Oh, so when you give a description for content 1, one button is created. Now if you give description for content 2, content 3, content 4, you are providing options for the students, more options. Yeah. Description. I would call this now, after they read this page, I want to give them an activity, a question. I want to pose a question. I want to use the question page now. So I would call this concept check 1. Yeah, concept check 1. Good. And again, you need to tell the system where you want it to jump. Let's keep it simple. Select next page. But before I close off this page, pay attention to the options here now. Previously, when we created the first page, we only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options. Now we have 8 options because I could make the student jump to the first page. And as you build more pages, you would be provided with those options to jump. We want to create a linear activity. So here we select next page, save page. Right. Good. Now we have a couple minutes remaining. And the last thing I want to show you is creating the assessment. Oh, sorry. Question page. Question page. Let me not use that word, assessment. Let's add a question page. Because at the end of my second page, what is H5P? Students will see the button, concept check 1. When they click concept check 1, it should go to a question page, and I have options. I'm going to select true, false, add a question page. You can give the page a title. And I would put the question here. Let's see what's the question. And then we have the answer, true, in this case. And here you provide a response if they select true. So if they select true, you can say, good job. ChatGPT will help you with this part. AI, whichever tool you use, can help you with this to speed things up. All right. And since they get it correct by selecting true, you will allow them now to jump to the next page because they master that concept already. Or if it's the last item in the lesson activity, you can select end of lesson. So I'm going to do that I'm going to select end of lesson so you can get an idea of how it would look. You give a score, and then wrong answer, you put false as the option. Response will be oops, try again. And when they select the incorrect response, you want them to review the contents or that's associated with this question, the page that is associated with the question. So I'm going to let them now go back to this page, which will help them answer this question, which will help the students answer this question. Right? And of course, you put 0 because no score for that. And then you click save. Good. Now let's quickly view. So we have the lesson menu here. Rachel, lesson menu is here. So this is the first page, getting started with H5P. I have my progress bar because I selected that option. I enabled that option. So I have a good idea. Oh, this is not really a long lesson, right? You know, it's short. I've already completed 32% by reviewing the contents here. I review more contents when I click that button. Now this could be a video, this could be a H5P activity. This could, you're the creator. Then I go to concept check 1. And I'm going to select false, submit. And here's the feedback. Now this feedback could be much more informative based on the question. I just, for the sake of time, put this. And here, the student will have the options. Yes, I'd like to try again. No, I just want to go on to the next question. Yes, I'd like to try again. True. Submit. When I get it correct, click continue. And congratulations. You've reached the end of the lesson. Your score is 1 out of 1. So it saved the latest score. And this is how you create, it's as simple as that. This is how you create a linear lesson. in MyeLearning. Any questions? Any
There's a
question?
question in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Chanel. This is awesome. So she's using AI to generate the questions, yeah. But you need to of course you're gonna verify and check the validity and so on, right? Found the questions are better aligned. You wanna yeah, good. Is there a way to pull questions from the question bank into this question page? So when you go to this page here, you need to do that before you set up remember when we discussed the 4 options you have? What would you like to do first? This page? When you here is where you import those questions. So you import it first. And then when it's imported, you would have to configure it to meet the needs. You might delete, you might add, I don't know, you edit accordingly. And it will come in here as a page type. On a page type, it will be either true, false, multiple choice, open-ended question, sorry. And then you can now just rearrange by selecting this option. Let's say I want, what is H5P content? Now, let me stick with the question page. I want to move this page. Where do I want to move it? I want to move it here, just under the first page. Here. So yes, you can, but it's not straightforward as importing questions from the question bank. When you create a quiz and you have that option to import questions, no, you have to go to your question bank or go to where that quiz is in MyeLearning Moodle, download it, and bring it in to the activity.
Hi, Javed. I don't know if you can hear me. Thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing this, because I think I had looked at this before and I was like, my head was spinning, just
Yes.
out
So
what to do.
thank you for saying that, because you might be saying, wait, now this thing finished already. This session finished already. It's a choice that I made to keep it short and simple, because it is very complex. It is very complex, but we want to keep it manageable as we start using the tool. You create a linear activity, test it out, and then you could either reach out, but we will schedule another session going into branching, where we focus on branching scenarios. Yeah.
Excuse me, can
Yes.
this video be made available to us?
Of course. So at the end, once your recording is loaded, we will send it out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
And thanks for this tutorial.
no
Gavin,
problem.
don't
Was
forget the feedback questionnaire.
Thank you for that.